So, Bobby, I know you're just back from Standing Rock, and obviously you've been out there seeing the protests up front, seeing the violence, frankly, perpetrated by, it seems to me, the police officers and the private security there. But one of the things I want to ask you is, what is the legal status? Like, what exactly? Where are we in this process?
Well, that's a really good question. Because it is the central question that the pipeline company is in blatant violation of the law, Sam, and the law that they're in violation of is the National Environmental Policy Act, which was our first big environmental statute. It was actually passed a year before Earth Day in 1969. It's the most important environmental statute. That's the statute that says that before you get a federal permit to diminish or change or alter or change the use of federal assets, federal Commonwealth lands, the water, open federal range or whatever, you got to get a permit. You have to get a federal permit. If you need a federal permit for it, you have to do an environmental impact study. You have to tell the public what the true costs and benefits of that use of public resources is going to be, what the outcome, the cost and benefit, who's going to benefit, how much the benefit is, what the cost is. When Congress passed that, when they debated it, some people raised the issue in Congress and said, well, wait a second, you need a federal permit to put a piling on a dock, to change the piling on a dock. Do we really want to have a full environmental impact statement every time somebody wants to change a piling? Do we want, and the mandate for hearings and public comment and scientific studies? And Congress said, well, no, not to do minor projects. And so they cut out an exception for projects that will have no significant environmental impact and that involve less than an acre of land. So you need those two criteria, and it's called the Nationwide Permit 12. And for that, you can do a fast-track study. So this pipeline, which is 1,200 miles long, is claiming that it is invoking the loophole of Nationwide Permit 12. They're pretending that there's only an acre of disturbance, but it's 1,200 miles. Now, XL Pipeline didn't even make that pretense. XL Pipeline, which is only 7 miles longer, did the full environmental impact study. And not only does it not meet the 1 acre and less criteria, it also doesn't meet the criteria of no significant environmental impact. The carbon discharges alone from this project are going to exceed the carbon discharges from 12 or 29 coal-burning power plants. The project crosses 209 rivers and streams, and even a single crossing of a single stream has been deemed by the courts to be a significant environmental impact, requiring the whole project to do an EIS. But they didn't do it here. So you have a law-breaking company that is an outlaw criminal enterprise that is building the study. Environmental Defense sued them, but while the suit is happening, they're building the pipeline anyway.
How do they assert? But Bobby, how do they assert that they're eligible for Permit 12? Are they just able to do that unilaterally?
It's insane. It is an insane assertion, but none of the national press, and this is another aspect of this, the press is not covering this. The press is only, and you have here, let me just set the stage for this. You have a law-breaking corporation, an oil company, that is now arrayed against a law-abiding group of Sioux Indians and 300 tribes, the biggest gathering of tribes in a century. But they're extremely disciplined. When you go into the camps, there are committees there that ensure that everybody, that strictly enforce peaceful demonstration protocols, that train the people in peaceful demonstration, that do psychological profiles. So and vet the people so that you can't go to the front line of the demonstration unless you've been vetted, unless you've been trained in peaceful demonstrations. So they are incredibly restrained, incredibly disciplined about making sure that there's no law breaking on their side. And so you have, and then, Sam, the scariest thing about this is that you have all of this very, very sophisticated new weaponry that the police are completely out of control out there. It's the most insane. It's like Orwellian. And they're using all of this new weaponry, these vehicles. They're using sound cannons, which it literally makes you feel like your bones are breaking when they release that thing on you. Water cannons that they shoot when it's 20 degrees out there. They're going to freeze people to death. Plastic bullets, which they're firing at people, shooting elders from the Indian tribes. Mace, pepper spray, tear gas, and all of this stuff is being deployed at the same time. These tear gas grenades that we've never seen before. And then they have trucks on every hillside that have cameras, these kind of devices mounted on them that are facial recognition devices. They have military drones flying over the camps. They have some mechanism that nobody knows what it is, but they're capable of turning off every cell phone in the camp all at once, including the cameras. So they're testing all of this crowd control and civil control equipment out there, out of sight of the rest of the press. And, I did a press conference out there, and there were a lot of cameras at the press conference, but there were no national news cameras. The mainstream media is not covering this. They were from the Young Turks, and they were from RTTV, and all these kind of alternative media outlets. And if you look at how the national news is covering this, they're covering it from the perspective of the pipeline company and the state. So the state has deployed this awesome military power on behalf of a law-breaking oil company against a peaceful, law-abiding crowd of American citizens. And it's all being done out of sight. The narrative is being crafted by the state and fed to the mainstream media, which is reporting it as if here's a bunch of Indians who are getting out of hand, and somebody needs to put them back in line. And that really is how it's being covered. And nobody's out there looking at the truth, which is the police state out there is completely out of control, and the Indians are behaving better than anybody could ever expect them to behave.
All right, Bobby, we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about this. I also want to talk about one of Donald Trump's confirmed cabinet picks this week, because there's a relationship between these two things. The interest behind those who want to build this pipeline and the interest behind those who have been supportive of Donald Trump's CIA pick, one and the same. We got to take a quick break. Sam Seder, Bobby Kennedy, Ring of Fire Radio.